Organised by Britcar, the Dunlop Endurance Championship arrived at Silverstone with a terrific entry of over 30 cars for the third event of the season. Part of the success of the championship is down to the fact that it caters for a wide range of race cars, from GT3 and GT4 spec machines and sports prototypes, right the way through to production spec saloon cars, and much in between. So far, the season has given us 4 different winners from 4 races, with the FF Course Ferrari of Mike Wilds and Dino Zamparelli victorious in the season opener here at Silverstone. That day's second race was then won by the sister car of Bonamy Grimes and Johnny Molam, before the HUD Motorsport Aston Martin of Nigel Hudson and Adam Wilcox took the spoils in race 1 at Snetterton. And our most recent winners became Whit Gamsky and Ross Wiley when they won the second race at Snetterton in the MJC entered Ferrari. But it's Team Hard who lead the overall championship because Simon Rudd and Tom Barley are unbeaten so far in Class 3. But that means they've accumulated a lot of success penalties and will have to pit for much longer than their rivals in today's 50-minute and 2-hour races.
I think if we can pick up 2 podiums this weekend, I'll be really happy for the overall championship. Yeah, that's what we're going for at the moment, and I think we should win. I think we've got a 30-second disadvantage over anyone else in our group. So like I say, it's going to be really difficult, especially in 50 minutes, but the 2 hours, hopefully we can claw some of that time back.
Tockwith Motorsports lead the sprint championship that runs within Britcar, and Ed Moore is now joined by 16-year-old Marmaduke Hall, who makes his race debut.
So you managed to do much testing before your race weekend?
I had about 15 minutes in the car before yesterday, and then we had about 3.5 hours yesterday, and then today. I'm just trying to take it easy, gradually improve and finish.
Hopefully we'll get a bit more testing in for next time, won't we?
Yeah.
But as I say, it's just getting used to the car really. More for Marmaduke, but for both of us really. Obviously it's new car to us, so yeah, it's all good fun.
A busy 30-minute qualifying session would determine the starting grid for the first of the day's races. There was a troubled start for the number 4 FF Course Ferrari as Graham Lucking suffered a puncture. But another Ferrari was absolutely flying as Ross Wiley propelled the MJC Limited 458 onto pole position. However, his time was almost matched by fellow Scotsman and 4-time Britcar champion Callum Lockie, who was just 1/10 of a second behind. Having missed the previous round at Snetterton, the Spanish duo of Manuel Centrano and Javier Murcio were back in action. Murcio went 3rd quickest before worryingly the car disappeared late in the session. The Molam Grimes Ferrari was the quickest Class 2 entry and finished in 4th place overall, while the Mac G Racing Tyrannus of Johnny McGregor and Ben Sharich qualified 5th. Despite the early puncture, the number 4 FF Course Ferrari have also made it into the top 6. Here then is confirmation of the top 10 at the end of qualifying, with MJC Limited taking their 2nd pole of the year, despite Wiley suffering from chickenpox and a car that's still being developed.
The car is still in its infancy regarding racing because it hasn't raced much, so we're still finding things on it that should have been ironed out when it was first made, but because it hasn't done anything, it's now coming, all these bits are coming up, but on the whole it's proving to be good.
Well, sad to say there's going to be a notable absentee from the 2nd row of the grid, the Neil Garner Motorsport Mosler, out for the day with engine problems. So everybody else is set, ready for the first race of the day. The rolling start at Silverstone gets underway as they thunder into life. The 2 Ferraris absolutely side by side, but it's Whit Gamsky from pole position who's got his nose in front. Everybody else trying to gain positions through Cops Corner for the first time in this 50-minute race. On board with Johnny McGregor in 3rd place, and Callum Lockie's got the lead here, and Johnny McGregor goes through as well. Whit Gamsky, the pole sitter, down to 3rd place there on the run into Beckett. So the new race leader is Callum Lockie. There's Johnny McGregor in the Tyrannus, the pole sitter down to 3rd. 4th place, the Bonamy Grimes Ferrari. 5th place, Mark Cunningham in the Porsche. Everybody else filters their way through towards Chapel Corner, and we're going to get a replay of the start with Johnny McGregor. And Whit Gamsky on the inside there got a good start. Initially got the lead on the way to Copse, but went a bit deep on the exit to the corner. Callum Lockie's Ferrari then started to pounce, started to get on the gas a little bit quicker. Around the outside he went, and then as Gamsky paused, Johnny McGregor took his chance and went into 2nd place. So at the end of the first lap of the race, Lockie has got a 3.5 second lead over Johnny McGregor. Up to third place has come now Bonamy Grimes. So Witgamsky, the pole sitter for MJC, is down to fourth place, but with a very quick Ross Wiley still to come in the second half of the stint. Well, Cunningham's Porsche has made a good start from 7th up to 5th place. Here's the number 17 Cayman of Rick Neverson, new to the championship, and contact there with the VW Golf. It's sent round into a spin. The right rear has come clean off the rim, and he's sent into the gravel trap there and out of contention. And the contact was made with Simon Garrett in the VW Golf, which I believe has carried on as we go on board with Darren Lewis in 10th place, making 11th because Mike Moss has stormed down the inside here on the run into Stowe Corner at the end of the Hanger Straight. The BMW, though, gets a bit twitchy coming out of the corner, and Darren in the Ginetta is already back onto his case. Two BMWs battling in the sprint category. Rob Young is number 6, Simon Baker in the number 61 car just behind him. Coming out of Club Corner now, back on board with Darren Lewis, who feels he's being held up here by the BMW that's just overtaken him, and is getting a bit frustrated with all of this, but the BMW streaks away in a straight line onto way to Abbey Corner, and he loses the place to his teammate. That is the number 24 championship leading Team Hard Ginetta, driven by Will Phillips, and Will carrying excellent speed here. The door opens up, the BMW leaves a gap, and both the Ginettas come steaming up the inside on the way to Village Corner, and then right onto the tail of the fellow Ginetta goes Darren Lewis. Tremendous battling here in the midfield. There is the Mark Cunningham Porsche, which has made 2 places already off the start. 5th overall, and more importantly, leading Class 3, in which the Team Hard Ginettas all compete. Speaking of which, there's another one. That's young Angus Dudley, the teenager, in the number 33 car. So that is 2nd in Class 3, and already the lappery beginning here as he makes his way through Woodcut. In the garage with problems, I'm afraid, former British touring car racer Patrick Watts in the Cuda Drinks Ginetta, which came in at the end of lap 1. Meanwhile, we go on board with the country's most famous baker, Paul Hollywood, from the Great British Bake Off. He's in the Aston Martin and gets a great run here, coming alongside Ed Moore, pulls off his showstopper move and gains a place on the Ginetta on the way into Brooklands Corner as the Lotus Exige of Jamie Stanley grinds to a halt. Here's a replay. Oh, this is the Rick Neverson spin at Copse Corner, and he was just trying to go around the outside of the VW of Simon Garrard. They just clipped, but it was enough to send the Porsche off, and those pair are both run by the Track Focused squad, so not the best day for them. The car is being wheeled back to the garage to see if they can get it back out onto the circuit. There is David Mason for FF Course, and there is his teammate Callum Lockie leading the way and absolutely flying here. He's built up over a 40-second lead now on Johnny McGregor, and is just making his way in 2nd place through the Beckett's complex here. But both teams have opted to run their quicker driver first, whereas you've got teams like this, MJC and FF Course, the number 5 car, about to switch to their fastest drivers for the 2nd stint. So it's going to be a race of 2 halves. Bonamy Grimes, an excellent drive though to 3rd place, handing over now to Johnny Molam as the Torquith Motorsport Ginetta grinds to a halt. There's a lot of debris on the circuit as well. Marmaduke Hall making his debut at the car. He's in strife, and they're the leaders of the Sprint Championship as Tom Knight is overtaken here by Matty George in the Aston Martin. That's on the way into Brooklands, so the Ginetta have switched drivers, but Matty George has yet to go in the Aston Martin. Great little move that was though at the inside. Both cars running in the top 10 as Tom Knight gets completely crossed up there, and into the pits goes Matty George to hand over the Whitebridge Aston to his teammate Chris Murphy, the ex-quad bike racing champion. And good to see the Cuda Drinks Ginetta of Richard Burrows and Patrick Watts back out. So everybody has now made their mandatory pit stop on board with Ben Sharridge in the Mac G Racing Tyrannus in 2nd place. And thundering up the inside, that is the MJC Ferrari of Ross Wiley. So that is for 2nd place. And his next target will be to catch David Mason in the number 7 Ferrari, and he's much quicker at this stage of the race, up to 7 or 8 seconds a lap quicker, and he's still got time to do this. Here's the Class 5 leader, that's Barry McMahon in the Alfa 156. Barry, a very experienced Alfa Romeo racer, and leading the sprint category in Class 5, it's the Reflex Racing Ginetta G40 of Marcus Vivian and Derek Holden. Leading Class 4, it's Sam Olpas and Jamie Martin in their BMW. And there's Callum Hawkins-Rowe, who's taken over the Team Hard Ginetta from Angus Dudley, and they're on for their first Class 3 win as the back end of the SG Racing Porsche goes around. Frank Bradley spins going into Brooklands Corner.
Goes off backwards, but doesn't get as far.
Onto the last lap of the race, and Ross Wiley has got the MJC Ferrari into a race-winning position. He caught and passed David Mason pretty quickly, but David is hanging on for second place overall, still leads the sprint category, but he's been caught very quickly by Johnny Molam in the sister FF Course Ferrari, who has found a way past Ben Sharridge in the MACG Racing Tiranis. Ben, though, still doing a very good job in 4th place overall. There in 5th place is Leighton Clark. Graham Looking had a moment off the road early on in his stint, but the team have done well to get themselves back up into the top 5 and second in Class 2. In 6th place, it is father and son Colin and Oliver Wilmot in the number 70 Porsche. They are also competing in the sprint category. And on course for 3rd place and a podium in the sprint category, Mark Murfitt and Michael Broadhurst. Well, we've had 4 races, 4 different winners, and for the first time in 2017, we are going to get a double race winner, and it's going to be 2 on the trot. They won at Snetterton, they are going to win here at Silverstone. MJC take the checkered flag. The Ferrari of Ross Wiley and Whit Gamsky are very much in championship contention with that result. A great drive by the pair of them. But who's going to finish second? There's David Mason. Contact with the Ginetta and contact with his teammate. They both go off into a spin. That's for second place. Second and third off the road. David Mason goes around. Back on the road comes the Johnny Molam car. He's going to just about manage to hang on to this for second place. But what about David Mason? The car is stranded there on the exit to the corner. Well, Mason was eventually able to get the car over the line and held on to 3rd from McGregor and Sharridge in the Tiranis, while Dudley and Hawkins Rowe took their first Class 3 win in 7th.
No, you're not particularly well this weekend. How were you feeling when you were in the car?
Yeah, the adrenaline's getting me through, to be fair. I feel pretty good for him in the car. It's only when I stop, that's when it starts to hit me. But yeah, I've just got to bite my tongue and just man up a little bit.
Got quite exciting in the last couple of corners. What happened?
So coming down the back straight, the national straight, he defended quite vigorously, which I expected, and is his right to do. He was in front, but he had 2 cars that he was trying to overtake on his right. So he went into Brooklands kind of 4 into 1, and I'd got down the inside of him on the brakes, so I was kind of on his left rear quarter, and I'm just waiting to see where he went on the gas, and I was going to try and go around the outside of him at Brooklands. And suddenly he just literally came across on me, and I was already right up on the curb anyway, and we touched, and unfortunately both spun. And what I didn't realise that he'd been hit by the cars on his right. One of those had come across and hit him, and then he moved into me, and we hit as well. So just one of those things, but bit of racing, and just great that we got the win, and overall podium with Bon, who was awesome.
Last year's title was won by Tockworth Motorsports with Nigel Moore and Phil Hansen, who've now progressed into the World Endurance Championship and recently finished in the top 10 at Le Mans.
We had a good crew around us, which obviously you need in a 24-hour. We had great reliability with the car, with the Ligier, so big thank you to them for all their support. Big thank you to everyone, because they all worked really, really hard. I think about 95% of them in the team, it was their first time at Le Mans. So to finish up there, it was in the top 10 in LMP2. I think we finished 9th. It was really, really strong.
Britcar provides a great arena for drivers to hone their skills and learn the art of GT racing, as Mark Murfitt is now doing.
For me, it's a case of learning the circuits and obviously racecraft, so you can pound around in testing and test days. But as much as anything, it's learning that racecraft is totally different, clearly. And also a lot of cars on the grid, which I think makes a difference. So that's what you can't learn just on test day.
And this round has attracted well over 30 teams, all relishing the chance to drive one of the world's most famous tracks.
The GP circuit, especially Maggots and Beckett's, I mean, it's an amazing feeling when you get it right, when you get it hooked up, it's fast through there, so no, I love it. I'm going down to 4th to the first part, turning in, and then going, as you're coming into Beckett's, I'm into 3rd, and then accelerate out onto to Chapel, and then I'm down to Stowe straight. So it's it's a tricky corner, but if you get it right, it's an amazing feeling.
It's a lot faster on entry than you think, and you've got to carry the speed. You've got to keep the momentum going. So you do initial brake, and then you're back on the gas, and then a little brake, and then a final squirt of the gas. But you really got to carry that speed around that last part, because if you get it wrong, you get your line wrong, you're completely compromised for the straight, and you really need to carry that right the way through.
So we're all set for the second race of the weekend. This one is going to be a 2-hour enduro, except if you're in the sprint category and you just do the first 50 minutes. The rolling start then gets underway. They're in position from race 1, so pole position. It is the MJC Ferrari which gets the lead of the race on board with Ben Sharridge, who loses a few places on the way to Copse Corner, having started the race from 4th spot on the grid. What about the leaders though? It's Callum Lockie, he's done it again on the way to Beckett's. From 3rd on the grid this time, he steered the Ferrari into the lead of the race. With Gamsky, the pole sitter, is 2nd, and coming under attack here from 2 more Ferraris. The number 5 sister car of Bonamy Grimes in 3rd place. Then it is Leighton Clark who starts this time in the number 4 machine, on board with Mark Cunningham, who's on a proper charge here from 15th on the grid after the car had its late race spin in race 1. He gets past Callum Hawkins, Rose Ginetta, on board with Tommy Knight, who was overtaken by Ben Sharridge, who charges down the inside on the way into the braking zone for Stowe Corner, but then goes a bit deep. He's struggling with the tyres here, runs wide, and Tommy Knight is going to get him back in the Ginetta. All of this going on within a few metres of each other. Now Cunningham on the attack here to get past Wilmot's Porsche and gain another place. He's up into the top 10 here already, and now he comes alongside Ben Sharridge in the Tyrannis. Around the outside of him he goes, and Sharridge is going to lose a place as well to Oliver Wilmot. The teenager gets through in the Porsche. So those 2 Porsches absolutely flying. One of them started 6th, one of them started 15th. They're both up there now in the top 6. Tremendous start to the race then for Mark Cunningham. And now who's his next target? It's going to be Tommy Knight, who we've seen battling away with Ben Sharridge already. They're coming to the braking zone for Village Corner. He takes the wide line to try and cut back on the exit of the corner here. Both of them battling in Class 3 as well, so they should be evenly matched. Hogging the inside line here is Tommy Knight. He runs wide though. Coming out of the corner, the door opens up. Mark Cunningham might have a chance here as they make their way onto the Wellington Straight. Back on board with Tommy Knight, who goes out wide. The Porsche comes through. He gets back onto the circuit. Another Porsche comes through. Ollie Wilmot gains a place as well. Absolutely breathtaking stuff here on the first lap of the race. But at the head of the field, it's absolutely serene, and there's nobody in the mirrors for Callum Lockie. He's got a massive lead. We've got the number 4 Leighton Clark car, which has come up to 2nd place now. Bonamy Grimes in 3rd place, doing well as well against 2 much more experienced, much more pro drivers. He's there in the top 3 once again. The pole sitter Whit Gamsky is down to 4th, and Mark Cunningham has gone from 15th to 5th on the first lap of the race. As there's a screech of tyres, oh dear, from 6th place. That is Ollie Wilmot losing it at Copse Corner. And here come the Class 5 cars, the Synchro Motorsport Honda, the Lotus of Jamie Stanley, which has come from the back of the field. That's a good move on the way to Copse to move ahead of the Alfa Romeo of Barry McMahon. And they've got the track-focused Porsche Cayman fix, so out goes the number 17 car to join the action. There's the Ferrari of Rob McFarlane, and the Synchro Motorsport Honda loses the back end. Alan James almost into a spin, recovers it, but he's going to lose all sorts of momentum and several places here. So he'll drop down the Class 5 order, and out of the Class 5 lead is Tommy Knight. Is overtaken here by Callum Hawkins Rowe, his teammate, on the way to Stowe Corner. Oh dear, having picked up the Class 5 lead, that is the Lotus Jamie Stanley out minus a wheel as Ben Sharridge starts to come back on the attack here, having got the tyres working properly now. He absolutely whizzes past Paul Hollywood. They're in different classes, of course. And now we've got the first of our pit stops. This is for the sprint category cars. David Mason about to take over from Callum Lockie. They're only doing 50 minutes, so they all come into pit after around about 20-25 minutes. Those doing the endurance category will stay out. And so the number 4 FF Course Ferrari of Leighton Clark will pick up the lead. The number 5 sister car of Bonamy Grimes will move up to 2nd place overall. Despite the brief spin, the Wilmot Racing Porsche is 2nd in the sprint category as Dad Colin takes over from son Oliver. And there is British touring car boss Stuart Lyons, who is going really well, 3rd in category in his TCR spec Seat. And then we've also got in the top 6 in the sprint category, the number 6 BMW of Neil Garnham and Rob Young. Trying to chase down the Top with Motorsport Ginetta, which is 4th, and they're 6th in the sprint category, Mark Murfitt and Michael Broadhurst in the Porsche Cayman. But it is still tight for the Class 3 lead between the 33 and 285 Team Hard Ginettas. Here's a replay, and Tommy Knight has got himself ahead of Callum Hawkins Rowe, who then fought his way back up the inside on the way into Copse Corner. So those two have switched places a couple of times in the race now. We're just about halfway into this 2-hour race, and there is the Whitebridge Aston. Matt George taking over then from Chris Murphy. That runs in Class 3. Not looking too well, though, I'm afraid. Ben Sharridge, who's been really struggling with back issues throughout his stint. Johnny McGregor has taken over. He leaves the pit bay as in comes the Class 3 leader. That's Callum Hawkins Rowe, about to hand over to Angus Dudley. As the flag comes out for David Mason, who takes victory in the sprint category. Their 50 minutes is up, so the Ferrari wins by 1.5 minutes from the Wilmot Porsche. Stuart Lyons in 3rd in the Seat. Moore and Hall in the Ginetta, the points leaders, in 4th. There's Paul Hollywood, who has handed over the Beechdene Aston to teammate and team leader Andrew Howard inside the top 10, so good job done by him. As we see a change of lead, that is Johnny Molam pouncing down the inside of Graham Lucking. The MJC Ferrari of Ross Wiley is right behind in third as well. And we can now hear from Graham Lucking's teammate, Leighton Clark.
We're struggling a little bit with the air temp at the moment and the track temperature. It's causing the tyre temperature, the face of the tyre to rise. So we're struggling with quite a lot of understeer. But at the moment things are going well. I think we're P2 overall. And hopefully we'll stay there.
Synchro Motorsport have recovered well from their early race slide. Alan James has handed over to Dan Wheeler, and they're now back into the Class 5 lead once again, the Swindon-based squad. Second in the class is the track-focused VW. Simon Garrard has handed over now to Danny Russell. And Class 4 is being led by the Concept 3 racing BMW. Jamie Martin and Sam Allpass are on for their second class win of the day and quietly going about their business very well. There's Patrick Watts, who competed for Peugeot in the BTCC in the 1990s. The Cuda Drinks Ginetta in second place in Class 4 as Johnny McGregor storms up the inside here of Pete Cunningham, and that is for third place. The Tyrrell is on for a podium. Into the closing stages, the MJC Ferrari leads Ross Wiley's Class 1 car and already got past Johnny Molam, and then Johnny's car expired a few laps from the end. Normally ultra reliable, but the Ferrari is out of the running, and so up to second place, despite a late splash and dash, has come Graham Lucking and Leighton Clark in the number 4 Ferrari. And up to fourth place overall now, Class 3 leaders Dudley and Hawkins row in the Ginetta, and this is the battle for second in Class 3. Three of them together here. Can Pete Cunningham's Porsche fend off here? The championship leader in the 24 Ginetta, I think no is the answer, because Simon's got the better run into the loop. He's got the better line, and Darren Lewis has got more momentum than the pair of them. Two Ginettas go on the attack here. They're going to be three abreast as they make their way into the Wellington Straight, and Lewis goes through. There's the checkered flag, and there is win number 3 of the season for MJC Limited. Ross Wiley, despite not feeling well, and Whit Gamsky, despite having a dodgy ankle, triumph once again as Dudley and Hawkins Road take Class 3 once again, but their teammates, the championship leaders, grind to a halt at the very last corner of the race. It looks like they're out of fuel. So here are the final results as we hear from our top 3, starting with Ben Sharridge on the podium despite a bad back.
Yeah, it was hard work to begin with in the beginning, trying to get some heat in the front tyres, and then 8 laps in, something in my back decides wants to give way, and spent most of the stint hobbling around in a bit of pain. Managed to clear up for a bit in the end and got some good laps in, but just before coming into the pits decided to flare up again. So it was a bit of hard work, but good day all things considered.
The team have done a great job over the last couple of years with this car. We're improving all the time. I think Ben did an excellent job today. I wasn't aware of his back issues at all. So hats off to him. He's done a great job. To every lap, he was getting quicker. It was a really, really good day.
It was a really tough race. I'm exhausted, so I have no bones about that. Leighton drove brilliantly, and without that we wouldn't have been there. But the competition was enormous today, and we had a car that was really, really difficult to drive. So coming in second on overall, winning class, it couldn't have been better, quite honestly. We didn't expect it.
For Whit and I to come away with 2 wins and obviously pole position and 2 fastest laps, it's been a pretty good day actually. So really happy.
Yeah, no, it's been a great weekend. The car was fantastic again, and we're looking forward to the next lot.
And today's victories put Gamsky and Wiley into the Endurance Championship lead for the first time this season, while Moore and Hall retain the advantage in the sprint category. It's been another terrific Britcar event. Round 4 takes us to Brands Hatch.